Hey guys, Isaiah here, and I'm coming at you with another one of these update vlogs here. It's my nephew's birthday at the time of this recording, and I got him a birthday gift. It's this How to Draw the DC Universe book by Klutz. Disclaimer, I'm not getting paid for this in any kind of way. I just was thinking about what am I going to talk about today, and since I bought this, I thought that it'd be a pretty cool thing to talk about art books, specifically those that are targeted at young cartoonists. And this is actually the exact same book that my mom bought me when I was around the age that my nephew's going to be now. When I told her that I wanted to make comic books. Back when I was a kid, they actually had the license for Marvel characters instead. But the contents of the book is exactly the same. And I think this book is really super cool because it's really focused on having projects for the kids to do, lots of really cool like tracing things and stuff like that. And I still think this is one of the best how to draw books geared for younger audiences that I have ever seen. I work at an art supply store during the day, and I used to run the book department, so I have looked at a lot of those how to draw comics and how to draw manga and how to draw cartoon books, and have been disappointed with so many of them because I just don't feel as if they go about how to teach in a way that encourages critical thinking as an artist. And I think this book actually does a really fantastic job. And I kind of want to go over what I feel makes this very successful, even compared to things that are targeted at slightly older audiences. Um, so first of all, I think there are two really successful ways to learn something, at least for me. I'm no teacher, so I can't profess to have a concrete understanding of that. But as far as how I went about learning things growing up, there were two ways that I found to be very successful. One was repetition, which can be really boring, but if it's something that you're having a lot of fun with, then that really changes things. When you learn something like martial arts, they have you drilling moves over and over again, and that can be kind of fun. And that's one of the things that this book here does. It teaches children concepts and then has activities, repeated activities to reinforce those ideas. And then the other method that I always found really successful as far as learning goes is to teach the critical thinking behind it, to teach the understanding of something. Steve and I have thought about doing uh, things like technique lessons for the single issue show, and it's really been something that I've been shooting down, mostly because I don't see a huge benefit in teaching a technique because I don't feel as if it gives you a concrete understanding of art. It's just here's this technique, and I guess if that's something that you want to learn, then that's cool. But I am far more interested in understanding concepts and teaching about the critical thinking behind that. And one of the cool things about this book is that it does do that. It really goes down breaking down how to turning these superhero characters into basic shapes and the reasoning behind that. And then it reinforces that by having children, of course, repeat it through repetition. And it's not the perfect book. It's very geared towards only drawing superheroes, so it's not the perfect introduction to drawing comics. I would love to see a book geared at young audiences like this Klutz book that also goes over concepts like storytelling and panels and other not just the how to draw the superhero kind of stuff. Um, and I feel that that's where a lot of books geared at older audiences are a lot of the other books about how to draw cartoons and all that in general kind of fail because a lot of them don't really teach the critical thinking in any kind of way. And I can understand not every book is gonna have the repetition reinforcement because not all of them are geared in a way of being an activity book. But a lot of them I see just very matter of factly saying that superheroes look like this, and here's anatomy, and manga characters' eyes look like this, and it doesn't really go into why superheroes look a certain way, or anything in detail about anatomy, um, or why anime characters look a certain way, and details about expressions and stuff like that. It's more like, here's a sad face, here's a happy face, here's what a villain looks like, and I don't think that's really helpful. Um, and I'm eventually going to start doing a thing here on the channel where I do like character design breakdowns for both my characters and some characters of the other shows that me and Steven are watching. And I hope to gear that in a way to kind of get you to understand what I'm thinking about when I'm designing characters, and things that I find really successful about other character designs, or things that I don't find so successful about other character designs, because I really feel as if understanding that critical thinking of an artist is what really, really makes you grow more over time. Um, and that said, there just aren't a whole lot of books. And if you guys know any books like that, please show me some suggestions, because I want to have things that I can look at and say, hey, your kid's interested in doing comic art, like here's a book that they can look at. Or, hey, you want to make comics, here's the perfect thing. And one of the things that I loved and adored, and I still do. And I remember finding it in my library as a kid, and school library, and it was just the greatest thing in the world, was Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics. And that book is all about breaking down comics in a way that makes you a better comic artist and makes you better at writing comics. It's not something that is geared towards children, of course. It's written in a comic book format, so that's fun too. Um, but it does require a little bit more concrete thinking skills that I don't think that children at a very young age will have. But that's a really cool one, and I just feel as if we need more how to draw books that are geared towards giving you that understanding of introducing these concepts to you in a way that is good for a beginner to easily grasp, but not in a way that's just so matter of fact of like, this is what a deltoid looks like, and this is what a superhero's cape is drawn like. It's like, help give people an understanding of that. And as far as your art education in general, one of the things that I see, unfortunately, too much, because I've done things like I've done demonstrations with kids, and I've done private comic art lessons with kids before, and one of the things I've noticed a lot is that when these kids get these books that break down cartooning and comics in this very concrete way, they get locked into thinking that that's the way that they go about it. So if I want to draw manga, it has to look like these extremely large eyes. But if you go read a manga, not every manga artist draws that way. And I feel that kind of having a well-rounded art education helps out a lot with that, because I still see a lot of people, even adults, that want to make comics and cartoons, that are afraid of concepts like perspective, or are afraid of touching color, or don't have any kind of understanding of anatomy at all. And you kind of need to understand these things in order to do what you want to with them. For instance, if you're drawing something that's really wacky and cartoony, you might not have the you might be not be going for picture perfect anatomy, but it's good to learn anatomy and have a good foundation on anatomy, so that you can know how to bend the body to your own will. And the same thing for comics, as far as perspective goes. And I see a lot of young artists that are afraid and terrified of perspective, and it's really not that difficult of a concept. It's really just a geometric understanding of space, so that you can set up a scene. But it's so important for comics because you have to have a scene. Um, and there are all sorts of other things, like going to life drawing studies. And a lot of cities, there's probably a school somewhere that does public life drawing studies for free. And there might even be some events around your city where you can easily go and do some life studies. Also, it's incredibly boring if you aren't interested in it, but things like still lives are really good for drawing objects and learning how to see, learning how to draw cloth and stuff like that. And it's just extremely important to have that basis when you decide to go beyond just the standard how to draw superhero books. If you want to make a career out of doing comics and cartoons, it's really, really important, even if you're going to be doing something super stylized, to have a clear foundation in the arts and to learn your concepts like color and anatomy and perspective, and to learn the critical thinking behind your design decisions and how to break down objects. And all of that together will give you the kind of art education that you need to create whatever you want. So I really encourage more books like this to be out there. For anyone whose kids are interested in making comics, more books that are geared towards really reinforcing art is the best way to go about it. But also having a good solid art education. It's even if you want to do comics, it's a good idea to maybe learn how to paint a bit, or even learn how to do sculpting and 3D modeling. All of it helps you look at the world in a different way, and in the end, gives you a more well-rounded way of being an artist, so that you can be the kind of artist that you actually want to be. So that's going to be it for today, guys. I will check you out next time.